QRL community. We are back on a part two with a live QRL development AMA with QRL's lead blockchain developer, Kaushal Kumar Singh. We're dealing with a few Riverside streaming technical issues. So if a couple of you are joining back on in a moment, I appreciate you bearing with us. We are going to continue in our part two of Dev AMA questions. And I'm going to jump to this next one as the audio cut out a few minutes back, and Kaushal can cover this one for us. This question reads, can you explain what exact next steps from a user perspective would be needed to migrate their existing QRL coins to QRL 2.0? Ideally provides maybe some examples for scenarios where users use, the web wallet, the mobile app from Volt, hardware wallet, or if coins are on a centralized exchange, for example. Kaushal, could you cover this one for us? I know we started covering it and then we hit a little technical difficulties, so it would be great if you could cover this one for us.
Yeah, sure. So, what's going to happen is, first of all, we are going to have a specific block height where QRL 1.0 will halt, like it will not create any more blocks, it will halt at a specific block height. Then we are going to take the snapshot. The snapshot will include like what XMSS address owns how much quanta. They will include like what kind of tokens you hold, how many slave addresses are connected with your address, these data, and along with that, what OTS fields or what OTS indices you have already used. Once this snapshot is taken from QR 1.0 after halting it at a specific block height, this snapshot will go directly to the Genesis block of QRL 2.0. Now we already have all those data into the Genesis block. Then we will have a smart contract which is going to read those data and they are going to allow you to move your funds. So what smart contract going to do is it is going to verify your XMS's signature. So what you have to do to migrate is you will sign or you will generate a new wallet first, like the new MLDS 87 wallet, which is supported in QRL 2.0. And then you will sign from your XMSS address that, okay, this is my new wallet and I want to transfer whatever I own into this wallet. And then you send that transaction to the smart contract. The smart contract functions, executes, it checks your OTS indices. If it is unused, then it verifies the XMSS signature. If everything is good, it moves your everything, all of your holdings, including quanta, the tokens that was created in QR 1.0, everything to your new wallet. So that's the basic idea, that's the rough idea which we are planning to how the migration will be working.
Appreciate it. That's helpful on that one. We got a few more questions here on the docket, so that's helpful for answering that one. Next one here comes from a longtime community member, Otslayer. A big shout out to him over in Europe. His question reads, how long do you anticipate the downtime for QRL to be for the transition QRL 1.0 to 2.0 into the blockchain will be live and will be able to stake quanta? Question here from Otslayer. Kaushal, you want to touch on this one? I know we've had a couple questions in the past in terms of staking, the amounts, and et cetera. So want to touch on this one a bit?
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to the downtime, I think it should not be more than like 2 days or 4 days in worst case. 2 days I think is sufficiently enough when you already have like how you need to do that. But worst case like 4 days should be fine. But this downtime should not affect exchanges who already have received deposits, because if you have deposits there, you are trading on exchanges, then things like in exchanges, they have their own DB. They do things like, okay, this user own this much, this user own that much. It will not allow you to deposit new quanta or withdraw the quanta, but it will at least allow you to keep on trading, because it is not, when you trade on exchange, it is not much related to the blockchain, because when you are trading, it's not generating any new transaction, so it has nothing to do with the blockchain. All it does is it does it adds or subtracts crypto from their database. That's what they do. So it should not affect trading, but it will affect deposit and withdrawal in terms of the exchanges. But otherwise, I'm expecting 2 days downtime, worst case like 4 days, like that.
Gotcha. I appreciate it. Um, I think next one here on our list. This one is when can I test staking? When will the code be stable enough from Alami?
So the next testnet, which will have everything with 64 bytes address and all those data. So I think from the next testnet, you should be able to do the staking. Staking was working with QRL 1.0, but we have some issues, and it like it has minor bug which it's not working at this point. But yeah, from the next release of the testnet will allow you to do staking and many more things which is not yet covered in qr 1.0 or 2.0. So the next one will have the next testnet will have the staking.
Perfect.
You mean the next iteration of testnet, right?
Yeah, correct. The next version of the testnet will have everything,
Okay.
staking and many more features. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question we got on here. This one's a little bit longer, so I'll read it out for those that are listening into this one. Um, for an application like EMI that deals with potentially large documents and evidence files, could QRL Zond realistically support storing the actual documents on chain? Or is the intended architecture to store the documents off chain and use QRL for hashed proofs, timestamps, and verifications? The continuation with this one is if documents need to remain off chain, does Zon provide the smart contract functionality needed to create a permanent, independently verifiable proof that a specific document existed in an exact form at a specific point in time? A bit to these questions. I have it on screen for anyone that's viewing in on us. Um, uh, Need me to reread any of those parts, Kushal?
No, I'm good to go with that. So,
Awesome.
interesting thing is like uh, with our existing QR 1.0, what we do is we just generate hash of the document, you store that on the blockchain, and you can always verify that if the document has been changed or not. It serves the purpose that you always know whether there is any kind of tampering happened with the document, because in that case, hash will mismatch, and so the verification will fail. But when it comes to the storage, that's a different use case. If you store directly on the QR blockchain, like if the storage is still there, like you can do that with the smart contract. Maybe there's a limit, like how many data you can send in one single transaction. So you can split it into the multiple transactions, but that's going to cost depending upon how what's the size of bytes that you are sending in the transaction. So that's going to cost you. But yeah, you can still store the documentation using the smart contract and do the stuff that you want, including verification and everything. But when it comes to the scalable, like if you want like blockchain to scale and store lots of data, something like that, there is always a solution which can come from the layer 2 support. Is like if there's blockchain on layer 2 using QR blockchain, they can provide these features if someone wants to build something like that. But otherwise, you can just store the document, but that will cost you a lot depending upon how much bytes you are trying to store.
Got it. Thank you for that one, Kushal. Next one, we're going to keep working through some of these ones. This is a fun one. If someone wants to start experimenting this evening or tonight, what's the fastest path to deploying something on QRL testnet by Oasis? I'm not sure. We pulled in some questions from Twitter and social, so I don't know if that it might be their handle. I don't know if that's doesn't look like a Discord handle that's jumping out to me, but this question, you want to touch on this one for the audience and the community? Kushal?
Yeah, so if you are talking about existing testnet which is running, you can always have some ask for the funds from the community for the testnet token from the community or from the official team members, and then you can start making like you can look into the documentation, and then you can start deploying stuff. Like you can right now you can deploy smart contracts, you can interact with it. There are already web3 apis and everything ready for that, so you can do all of that. But the first thing is you join the discord or you look into the documentation with the help of Discord, you can always ask for the funds, for the testnet funds, and you can start doing things that you want.
Correct. That's helpful. The next one here on our list, we'll go through a couple more of these we pulled in pre ahead of time. We got a couple other ones coming in live that we can get to as well. Next one on our list here. If you were a developer looking at QL for the first time, what would make you excited to build here instead of on another EVM compatible chain? Obviously, anyone viewing this has gone down to some extent, probably a little bit, the post quantum secure rabbit hole that is. But I'll read this one out once more and you can touch on this one, Kaushal. If you were a developer looking at QRL for the first time today with fresh eyes, you're not a current community member or one of us that obviously understands where the industry and everything's headed, but what would make you excited to build on here on our chain versus another EVM compatible type chain or the noisy world out there?
Yeah, so there are two things. One, of course, is the post quantum security that I'm getting here from the Genesis block. So that's the first major advantage that I will have as a developer. Along with that, like the product that I'm developing having post quantum security, that's good for marketing if I'm trying to build something on the QRL. Second thing, which would be like the competition, because this is a new blockchain, new with smart contract with full post quantum, so I can make things like decks or maybe some small games using blockchain, or some cool applications there, so that because I know there's lots, the ecosystem doesn't have anything existing, so I can have a first mover advantage, so I can take help of that. So that's the two important things that's going to excite me. Like, I want to build on the blockchain and be the first mover.
Thanks, Kaushal. I'm going to jump to the next one here on our list. I'll read this one out. It's a little bit smaller on screen. This one is not a QRL Maxi per se, but it's by far my favorite project and community. Your live shows and the YouTube content are something I don't see many other projects doing. My question for Kaushal and both of you is, what's one project or developer tool that you personally would want to see someone in the community build on QRL? I'll start this one with you Kaushal, and then maybe I can piggyback on it. Anything that jumps out to you? They asked if we had one project or developer tool you have in mind, but maybe there's a couple. I kind of have a couple categories I think would be beneficial. You want to start this one out, Kaushal?
I don't have really like personal preference, because every community member has their own skills. So whatever they think, like from big to small, everything is like deserves the respect. So whether they want to make decks, they want to try something new, they want to make some tools that actually supports the ecosystem, they want to make some SDK, whatever they want to make, it's totally up to them. For me, it's like I will love all of them. It's like I don't want to uh, make them like, okay, these three or four things, if they do, that's a great. No, it's not. It's like, as long as you love building things on the QRL, I will love to see what you're trying to build and whatever help that we can provide as a team member.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback on exactly what Kaushal mentioned there. Of based on your skill set as a developer, whether you've been in the developing for decades or whether you're more junior to it or anywhere in between, you're specific. I think if you follow your curiosity, there's a number of categories that could be categorized as, oh well, that could just be a game or something, but there's all sorts of really interesting things that you can build on QRL, whether you have something around real world assets, identity, any type of CLI tools, anything. And things can start out small and morph into something much bigger. If you go back to the early days of Bitcoin, the early days to Ethereum, there's all sorts of ways that you can build. And we have a number of community members that are already at the current stage are building some really awesome stuff within QRL. A number of them building multiple projects that are touching on a few different prongs of categories. So I would just say, follow your curiosity. You're, as we've alluded to in past videos from Michael and I, and then the rest of the team, you have an advantage in moving early. We have a vibrant community in Discord that if you come across any questions, another good place. I already mentioned this in the earlier stream for part one, but QRL ecosystem again is a great place to go if you want that added inspiration or seeing, hey, has someone built within this category already? maybe there's one where you could be the very first to build in a specific category. So just adding on to what Kaushal said, we think wherever you are based in the world, regardless of your experience, if you are have a curiosity around it, you're passionate, I think that's going to help you continuing to iterate on it, because when you build a project, obviously there's a component of maintenance around it as well. So just keep that in mind of thinking about, hey, I want to build a project. We have the foundation for you to have a future proof, post quantum secure project. So think about something that you enjoy working on for a time period, and if all goes well, maybe you'd be maintaining it for a number of years. So I think we're going to jump to. I'll stop my screen share just for a second here as we jump to Kaushal and I on screen. But I think one part that would be helpful here as we wrap up is I'm going to go back. We had a couple other live questions that I think would be helpful to cover as we wrap up our AMA. So I'm going to read a couple of these out, Kashal, and we can cover a few of them as we wrap up this part two. So the first one I'm going to read out is a question that came in via Discord. And this one read out, I think there's another one in the chat that I'll get to next, but this one reads, is ZK proof technology being considered as a future scaling layer for QRL 2.0 Zond, particularly for batching transactions or verifying computation off chain while maintaining QRL's post quantum security? I can read that one again. I'm pulling that directly from the comments. You want to touch on that one briefly, Kushal?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we are looking for ZK Stark, especially for the scaling the blockchain, because it's the Stark, so it's like the proof will be post quantum secure. So we are looking into that. We are looking for this like since last, I think 3 4 years. It has improved a lot, but there's still way to go. ZK Stark is something which I believe till now is the best tech that blockchain could have, especially to scale us. So yeah, we are looking for. We are like after the launch. This is the another thing that we will be looking very much closely. See if we can do something with it. We can optimize or we can scale few things, or we can make things. Maybe we do not need to store the signature, and we can simply generate a proof, which is far more than enough. But yeah, it will take some time, take some uh, cryptanalysis and all those things, but we are betting on that.
No, I appreciate it. We got based on time. I know the live stream issue on Riverside kind of pushed us back a little bit. So, out of respect of the time slot, we'll get to probably two more questions here, and then we can wrap up as we close out the AMA. And any overhanging questions, obviously, we feel free. We'll try to cover that in upcoming ones. We're planning, as we continue towards mainnet, myself and Michael will continue. We'll have an upcoming in the coming months, another AMA with Kashal, so that we continue showing where the stage where things are at, alongside all of the continued updates on where things are at on our website, blog announcements, and so on. Next question I'm going to jump to. I'm going to pop this one up on the screen. This one reads out, how is QRL preparing for the migration that will come after the quantum era? Because technology is constantly evolving. This one coming in from Crypto is Forever. You want to touch on this one as one of the wrap out questions, Kashal?
Yeah, sure. I mentioned like previously, like one way is we already have descriptors where we can keep on adding new cryptographies. Other way users can do on their side is like having a smart contract, which has way like you can change your authorization from one wallet to another wallet by simply making transaction and making that smart contract to hold all your funds and tokens. That is something can be done on the user side. User can do on their own side if they think like something will happen in future, and we can quickly jump to another cryptography if I hold everything into one smart contract. And on the other side the smart contract address always remains the same, so then it will not have any issues. And the third last thing which I've mentioned, which is very important, is the zero knowledge proof, ZK star. If ZK star works well, then it's the best way to have the crypto agility in any blockchain. It's just because you can just create a proof that you actually know the seed of your wallet without revealing your seed, and you can then make a transaction with that proof. If that proof works, then your transaction will happen. So in case something bad happens where existing cryptography get compromised, people can derive private keys with the signatures, but they cannot derive seeds, because seeds are hashed and then private and public keys pair are generated. If they cannot do that, so if they cannot generate the seed but they can generate the private key, then you can always use a zero knowledge proof that, okay, I know the seed, I know that I this is my proof. I will not give you the seed, but I will give you the proof which can be verified on the blockchain. If that's true, then they can move the funds from to a new address or to a new cryptography which is secure. So things like that will be a game changer.
Appreciate it. As we wrap out, kind of as a final question or so, as I get to the last question, I also want to give a quick shout out. There's as I mentioned, a number of builders within the QRL community that are building projects and really doing some exciting stuff. Just to call out or spotlight one or two of them. One being Moscow Chill, building some really cool projects, and another one on the front facing side, Chiller ID, obviously a known community member, doing some great work tied to some of the community led efforts. So, a double tip of the hat to both of them, alongside a number of you that are watching this. A lot of you know who you are if you're building on QRL early. Huge tip of the cap to you, because as in the early days with Bitcoin or then Ethereum, a number of years later, we're probably going to look back on this early time with QRL, when it was an early time period where you're early to the party in terms of there's a lot of advantage in that. So continue building, continue digging. And one question I have as a wrap up question for this particular AMA for you, Kushal, is there anything else? And after I wrap this one up, I'll point people to a couple best places to get started if they're newer and they want to maybe dig into where they can build. But as a wrap up question for you, Kushal, where is there anything else that you want developers that are either currently building and have projects on QRL with testnet, or they're just about to do that? Is there any other information that they should know in terms of if anything changes, under the mainnet? Is there anything else big or small that they should be aware of, or just kind of to maybe keep an eye on, in terms of maybe if they have to adjust or shift things? I know there will be anything else that jumps out that you can help them avoid a roadblock, if there even is one.
Yeah, sure. So right now for the testnet v3, the major change which is coming, which is the 64 bytes address, which is like your address is now going to become bigger. That's the only change which I think is going to make like big impact in terms of blockchain size and whatever code people have already made. Other than that, most of the things are going to remain same. The things that we are working is going to ease the job of the development, is like supporting harder kind of libraries, providing you the extension so that you can write code into VS Code instead of some text editor. So that will make things easier. There will be some changes with the APIs and of course the cryptography, because we are using MLDS 87. So there could be some change in the descriptor value of the cryptography, but usually most of the things will remain as it is. Reward will change. We have finalized the reward, so that is there in the code. So the new blockchain will have a different reward and penalty values. So those things will change. But yeah, most of the things, if you are a developer, you are developing something, is not going to give you any issues. uh, the only thing it is going to do is make your life easier, because the new tools that are going to come in the upcoming testnet is much better than, because we do not have those in Cure in the testnet v2, but the new upcoming testnet will have those tools which will make things much faster in terms of development. Yeah.
Got it. No, that really appreciate that, Kashal. There's obviously a lot to it. I'm just going to pop up on a screen as a helpful end out place for those that are with us today. We've mentioned on a few of these already, but obviously, the curl.org, good place to go to for some of those ones that are new. As mentioned, QRL ecosystem, great place to go so you can kind of get a look at what is being built on QRL as we continue. There's continued work, community effort being put forth on that, among other things. Test-zon.qrl.org. Check out, obviously, if you want to create a wallet, that's post-quantum secure. You can go there. But really, just as a last wrap up, Kaushal, we appreciate you. There's so much, as I mentioned at the startup of the show in part one, there's so much that's going on amongst the development team, and that we're trying to continue to work on as the technology continues to evolve, and making sure that we're really staying, of course, to the roots of our project since day one and back in 2018. Is at the core post quantum native, and that is important to stick with that, and making sure that as we go, there's a lot of exciting stuff that people are going to be able to build on QRL. So the opportunity to have you join us and answer some of those important dev questions, big and small, that kind of tie to what do I do behind the keyboard tonight as I want to build, or if someone's looking at it more from an institutional perspective, or maybe a company that's looking to maybe, I don't know, look at some integration down the road. There's a lot of exciting stuff that is helpful for us to cover. So, Kaushal, any last words for the community, for the devs, the builders out there as we wrap out? Any last words for them?
Well, I mean, I do. It's like just wait for the QRL next testnet. It's going to be great, much more easier and faster than what we had, especially for the developers who wants to build on the blockchain. And yeah, of course, lots of documentation. So hope to see lots of things being made by the developers. So I always remain excited. Like, what do they build? What they are going to do with this new tools? And so it's kind of and many times we get the feedback like, okay, this doesn't work. This is not working. So it helps us a lot when we get the feedback from the people who are building on us, or they are trying to uh, build something and get got some into issues. Then we get some idea like, okay, we can make things easier for them by adding these or those things. So yeah, build as much as you can so that we know exactly what you need or how we can make your job much easier by having something, tools or something, whatever we can, like documentation, anything.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a great way to close it out. And until the next episode, and then the next Dev AMA with Kaushal. Kaushal, I appreciate myself and Michael through the streaming hiccups. Myself and Michael both greatly appreciate you always jumping on with us. There's so much going on behind the scenes, but it's nice to be able to continue to bring that to the community and those that are looking to build on the leading post quantum secure blockchain. And so until the next episode, make sure that you at home, if you're not already doing, keep those digital assets post quantum secure.
Yep.
And we will see you all soon. Thank you, Kaushal. Thanks,
Thanks,
Strike.
guys. Thanks, Kaushal.